This pinched and tweedy tag that has just come up under my 1956 yearbook photograph is not the opinion of the people in the control room or behind the cameras. It's my own description of my own personality in the adolescent years, and it adapted. This is an adaptation to a lot of pressures that I felt, that I was wrong. I once said to somebody that I wasn't born guilty, I was born wrong. I had a lot of personal, really bad experiences that shut me down and closed me in within myself. And the high school photograph you see really reflects something amazing to me. I would, at that time in 1956, I never would have told you I was angry. I was furious. I was enraged with life. And I was fixing this photograph up this morning to bring over here to the studio, and I suddenly remembered this, and then this is the unconscious, and this is how psychology works. I remember my mother saying to me, "You always look angry." And that was very true at the time, but I can only see that now in retrospect as an adult. And when I closed up, this deep anger that I felt came out in the photograph. If you can zoom in on the eyes of the photograph, right close up on the eyes. Right into the eyes. That's it. Well, especially the left eye, this eye over here. There's such rage in those eyes that it shocked me. I thought the yearbook picture when I got it, and was deciding between the smiling one, you know, the usual high school thing you do, that there was something wrong with these photographs. I didn't know what it was. It was in 1997 that I realized that I was furious with life. I was furious with my school. I was furious with what was going on around me. I was furious that people had hurt me. And the reason that this is here, pinched and tweedy, is because that was my persona. And it's a Jungian term. It's Jung's term. And what he means by that is he took the word from the Latin for mask, which was worn by Roman actors on stage in ancient Rome, to specify the character they were playing. In Jungian terms, the persona is the individual's outward behavior, physical appearance, even clothing. In short, it's part of personality which others see. It is an adaptive compromise between the individual and society, the role played, and the facade presented to the world. The facade that I was presenting to the world was the good Catholic boy, the perfectionist. He did everything right. He didn't displease anybody. And that's what you see reflected here. Mr. Perfection. Mr. You know, the real me is hidden behind this outer mask. And not only that, my fury at the world was showing through. Well, that's my story of my persona and how it developed. And Steve will have some commentary on that, I'm sure.
Well, you know, high school is an exciting time for everybody. I think, like we were talking about at one time, high school is a time when you define yourself. I mean, that's the time when the personality, and especially that persona part of the personality, how I will be with people, how I will be in the world, gets defined. And when you're in high school and you've never done this before, that's how you end up trying blue hair and one day, and then a week down the line you want to do the flat hair thing, and you try these different masks, and that's where the
roles,
and roles in life to see what fits both with you and how it feels to you, and then what happens with you and other people. I did this intellectual thing. I don't know if it was because I was good at it. It was just that people responded to it. You see what I mean?
Yes,
and so something in that high school boy said, "Oh, well, people seem to like that. Let's do that." And that's how, in sort of early on, I think we build the public face of our personality that lasts us for the first half of life. But that doesn't mean that all of those other possibilities have gone anywhere. In fact, you know, when people start analysis or things like that, one of the things you see, people have dreams about being in high school. It's a very common dream, going back into high school and certain things happening. And what it means is that all of those roads not taken. You know, just because you went the pinched and Tweedy route, right?
Yes,
didn't
indeed
mean,
I did.
Well, that doesn't mean that, and in some people, it's as close as the left hand and the right hand. You could just as easily have been a greaser.
That's right.
It was right there, and there's only one little tweak of fate that puts you down one road or the other. But both of those still live in you, even though the one is the one that was lived. And then as we all get older, in the first half of life it's over, these are the things that start coming back to us.
Which actually brings us to the Jung's third part of personality, called the shadow. And I had two shadow figures develop. They were what Jungians call ego-related complexes. The shadow develops unconsciously in conjunction with the development of the persona, so that you have that the egg that's on the screen showing the shadow as the personal unconscious. You repress and suppress things that are not acceptable to the cultural surround outside of you, and you develop a shadow. And the shadow is the personal unconscious, as I mentioned a minute ago, and contains repressed qualities felt as negative, face to face with the self-esteem of the ego. The shadow is the inferior, uncomfortable, not me portion of personality, which develops in opposition to and along with the identity put forward by in the objective world by the ego and persona. So the ego and persona is facing the world, and behind the ego is developing this shadow figure, which this is Jung's own words, everyone carries a shadow, and the less embodied in the individual's conscious life, like my anger in that photograph, the blacker and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Look at those eyes. I mean, my God. If the repressed tendencies, the shadow, as I call them, were obviously evil, there would be no problem whatever. But the shadow is merely somewhat inferior, primitive, unadapted, awkward, not wholly bad. It even contains childish and primitive qualities which would, in a way, vitalize and embellish human existence.
Well, of course. I mean, it's the high school part we were just talking about. The one part develops as what is put into the world, right? Mm-hmm. And it develops because if that's what you're living, you're well practiced at it. So you didn't have a lot of practice being a greaser, you see?
No.
But it was just as real and just as live in you as the other. I think it feels like, it feels frightening, it feels scary, it feels dark to the ego, only because it represents that other path, only because it represents other possibilities. And the ego sometimes is more like a little brick house. But then the wolf comes and starts blowing on the house of straw or brick. It depends on how strong your ego is. But the fact is, the wind is going to blow. The wind is going to blow as these other things come back. And that's part of the point of maturity, too, is that you don't want to be who you were in high school your whole life.
No.
You want these other things to come in. And that, I think, is what Jung meant a little bit by assimilating the shadow.
Right.
Like, for me, I'm from West Virginia, okay? So my shadow is the hick, you know? Right. Oh, I hate those hicks, you know? I hate those hicks.
That's right. That's right. And I developed a clown.
But I am a hick. and I developed, and this is part of assimilating the shadow, that, you know, you have to ride in a pickup truck and drink beer and wear your hat, and there's a part of me that loves that.
Yes.
You see?
Me too.
And for me to find that, though, I had to accept the hickness of West Virginia, you could say, in myself, that lives in me. And for me that happened. I had to go, there's an exhibition coal mine in Beckley, West Virginia. I think it's the only one in the whole country. You can actually go into a coal mine. It's a state park. And I actually mined a piece of coal myself. See, that's that shadow part. That's that black, underground, hidden. But you know, that's the coal if I'd left it in there
right.
another million years, it would have been a diamond.